Hey everybody, Justin DX1 5180 Oklahoma Station, 9-pound hammer, amplitude modulation. Single suppressed carrier is my mode of operation and what I prefer and what I love to do, guys. But I am a little bit of an amplitude guy, you know. Everything starts with amplitude modulation. Then you work it on through. Once you get amplitude modulation down, then you can't help but to be eager to learn more about single suppressed carrier or sideband. Now, single sideband is a lot different than what we used to have back in the days in the 60s, 70s. We had double sideband. Well, before the 70s, we had what they call double sideband. So therefore, you would modulate off the carrier would be nulled, and you'd modulate off both upper and lower sidebands at the same time. This mode was known as double sideband suppressed carrier. So they'd null the carrier down and modulate on both sides of the information carriers on each sideband. Not carriers, each sideband, and suppress the carrier completely. Nowadays, what we do, remember that was called double sideband. Double sideband. Their first form of suppressed carrier. Then later, we realized that we could be more efficient and occupy less bandwidth and achieve the same kind of mode by suppressing the carrier, completely filtering out the other sideband that we're not going to use, null the carrier, and then put all the information on one sideband at a time. Therefore, we wasn't wasting energy putting output voltage onto both sidebands. We take a filter and we completely filter notch the sideband that we're not using. We make it disappear. Then we null the carrier and put all the information on one sideband, either upper or lower. Doesn't matter. And that's what we use today, known as single sideband. And we have two modes, upper, lower. Now, what single sideband is, it's 1,000 hertz off of the center carrier frequency. So if you're transmitting at 27,385, your offset will be 1,000 hertz offset on the low side, 1,000 hertz up off the upper side. But there's your little history about sideband, single and double, and how we use them today. I've always been a huge fan of suppressed carrier. I mean, after several years of being in the hobby, it's not hard to tell that sideband is a more serious mode. It's where the real stuff happens. Personally, I think AM's a place to where you kind of teach yourself the basics. Once you get the mic shyness away and you start really understanding the circuitry, you really start getting eager to learn sideband. At least I did. I was real eager at a very, very young age. I wanted to know sideband because that's what all the cool guys were doing. That's where all the cool stuff was. Sideband, open band. Way up above 40. Actually, when I first started radio, guys, I really got big into it, sideband. We transmitted at 26.965. 26.905, which is a few channels below 965, which is channel 1, obviously. So down below channel 1, we would go to 26.905. We also were at 915 a lot. But then later, we all moved up to the upper end of the band. The upper end of the band Guys, tends to be more stable. It seems to be more active. You really, really, really want to talk sideband. Go to 435 all the way to 7,000. Now you're going to want to make sure your system and antenna system is tuned for that. And that's why I always, if you look at any of my stations, uh, channel 1, it will be the highest side of my SWR. So basically, the center of my tune is like 435. So the bottom end of my tune is like channel 1. Well, really, it's up above channel 1. Channel 1 is a little bit out of my range. I tune for more like 15. Well, it's actually lower. About channel 6. You know, the bowl and all the way up is kind of how I focus. Some places I'll get it closer. I'll tune closer to 1, depending on what I'm wanting to do with it. But I don't mess around down there. I don't even really go below. I mean, I very seldom even go to the bowl. Believe it or not, I do talk on Channel 9 a lot, which is Puerto Rico, AM Puerto Rico. So 6, 7, 8, 9 is about the lowest I'll ever go, and it's not often. I spend all my time up above 40, where I'm 100% resonant. My station's resonant at 435 to 515. I'm flatter than a cucumber. Ran over by a semi. Just absolutely flat. I'm not going to run way up into the 10-meter band and stay, 1, 2, 1, 1. Way up in there and way, way down. And then I can, of course, if I have any trouble, I just touch a button. I just hit the tuner, and it don't matter where I go, I'm flat. With that being said, anytime you use a tuner, you're not tuning anything. You're just making the transmitter see what it wants to see, and what's existing is still existing. Remember that, guys. When you use a tuner, you're not changing nothing. If your damn antenna has a high SWR, the antenna tuner does not change that. That high SWR is still there. All it's doing is making the transmitter see what's not there. 7 3s.